All righty. Well, should we start talking about the AEW? I'm switching my, yeah.
It is not fun to watch this show anymore. It used to be, even when it was bad, there was still a newness. You still would see people pop up like, who the fuck is this guy? There was still such really bad stuff that at least I knew we'd have some fun stuff to talk about. It seems like there's less of anything that matters on this show.
They are down to the kids they've got. The style has won out for the most part. There are some exceptions. The Hurt Syndicate. I can't think of any others. Where it's the kids that want to perform. They're the actors, they're the auteurs, they're the performers, they're the multi-talented individuals that want to come out and emote. Emote is a good word for what a lot of what they're doing here. And it's just it's not even as appealing as it was to that segment of the audience at the start of this thing, to this project, to which it was appealing, because the talent, such as it is stale. There are no more game changers. They've buried all of those. The millions of dollars he spent in the last 12 months is already kind of, and they're working on just making Osprey completely uninteresting.
Well, I'll wait till we get to Osprey to talk about that, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll get there. Because they're putting more apparently emphasis on Adam Page. Or as the guy called him on Twitter, Magnum LGBTA. He comes out there, and again, this is another one of those things that in these kids' mind, this sounds good. He's concocted this story and he has this material that he's prepared and he's going to deliver. This is his chance to have the stage all to himself so he can emote about whether we're supposed to cheer for him or not, or what we're supposed to think about him, or what the fuck he's doing, right? Because it's so confusing. And he comes out there and it's almost like the South Park episode, and he's got the spotlight on him. After what happened to me and my family, I wanted revenge and justice, and I found it. But I took it from another man. I took his only hopes and dreams, and I nearly killed him. And after our cage match, I thought I'd feel joy and closure, but I felt nothing. Because I thought maybe if I went back and finished the job, AE killed him, right? I could go back and finish the job and I could find that joy and closure, but I couldn't go and finish it, and I don't know why. So then I unleashed that anger on anyone who got in my way, because I thought that would give me some catharsis. Who the fuck talks like this? It's fake bullshit. It's bad attempts at script writing from some wannabe fantasy Hollywood script writer. And nobody that was actually dangerous as a physical human being in real life would talk like this or have any of these emotions. And when he goes through this goddamn thing, as soon as he mentions Swerve, they chant Swerve's house, not because Swerve's necessarily any more stunningly over, but because that's where they get to chant. And Page says that he'll never forgive or forget what Swerve did, but he put it behind him and made the decision to enter the Owen Cup, and he beat Alexander and he beat Felcher, and now he's going to face Osprey in the finals at Double or Nothing. And as soon as he mentions Will Ospreay's name, guess whose music plays, Brian? The pony known as Will Ospreay. They have been watching the WWE so long, but they're at the same time have been alive such a short period of time that they think this is the way that it's always been and supposed to be. and they're not way past sick and fucking fed up with it yet. And now Osprey comes out so they can do a duet. And they can double demote for the fucking fans in the audience. And they stare at each other with their mean faces, Brian, while the fans start chanting, "Happy birthday." Because, of course, they know it's Will Ospreay's birthday. Why wouldn't they? And Ospreay actually apologizes for interrupting. He calls Page's interview his therapy session. And my God, this continued to go on. Ospreay, although after hearing Page, he sounded like Heyman a little bit. But he said he liked how Page showed leadership to the Dork Order. Jesus Christ. He actually reminded people of that goddamn thing that was probably the first thing that started leading to Page's downward spiral years ago. In booking, not talking about in the story. In the actual booking, his booking's been shit since he had to converse with job guys. And then Ospreay said, but last week we saw you smile. And we all want you to beat your demons, bruv, and reclaim your spot. But at Double or Nothing, I'm not losing. Tony has booked his only two baby faces that anybody gives two shits and a tickle about to fight each other. Instead of being able to, as we talked about last week, have Felcher in the finals put Ospreay over so he can go to the stadium and put an end to this goddamn Moxley nightmare. Like any goddamn rational human being would do. And now Ospreay started screaming. I've been doing the media, the meet and greets. I'm taking pictures with kids, bruv. It's not about your redemption. It's about my ascension. Explain to me, Brian, who talks like this in real life and who gives a shit to watch people do it. They're soft pussies whining about their spot. There's no real personal issues. No, you broke my leg or you stole my belt or you fucked my woman. It's either pussy shit that nobody cares about or you burned my house down that nobody believes. Am I exaggerating?
With these specific people, no, you're not exaggerating. And I think that's part of the problem. Tony can't book it. And these guys on their own can't come up with things that make sense, things that are good, things that sound real. Adam Page has been like a depressed actor for almost 6 years now. Like, he's no longer the young guy in the company. He's no longer, this guy's going to have a great future. We may have already seen as good as it's going to get from Adam Page.
We have seen your future.
And then Ospreay, I mean, even Dave, I don't know if you saw the quote because a few people sent it over to me. Dave called that Ospreay because he goes out there and he doesn't dress like a star. Did you see that?
No, I mean, I agree with it. And that's, shocking that Dave and I would see eye to eye or that he would publicly express that opinion. But no, he dresses like some fucking schlub like the rest of these guys because they think they're too cool to dress like professionals or stars. But the money's the same. So, why not?
Why book this match?
Well, anyway. So as they went face to face again, that's Ospreay and Hangnail. Here comes Don with the whole family. I think Trent, Archer, Alexander, Take a Shit was out there.
It looks like a size chart. Rocky Romero was out there. Trent was out there. It was ridiculous.
But they didn't line them. It was uneven. They didn't line them up in the row. They should have. And the fans are booing Don. That's the thing. Like Dominic will boo over him. Don actually said that Ospreay, the stupidest day that you ever lived was leaving the Don Phallus family. And remember, Ospreay asked respectively if he could, and Don agreed. Remember, we said that was the stupidest thing I'd ever seen. I've never seen a guy, a heel just, can I leave? Oh, okay. And then he tried to cut the promo where Ospreay wouldn't trust Page. But then Ospreay took the microphone, and his moment was he was going to challenge for a big tag team match, but the fans independently decided to start chanting, "Fuck Don Callis." So Ospreay had to stop and just stand there for like 10 seconds while they got it out of their system. And then he started it again, with the exact same verbiage to challenge for a tag match. But that's when Paige grabbed his wrist and gave him a mean look. And they just stared at each other the whole time that Don was accepting a tag match next week. And the fans were chanting, "Shut the fuck up" at Don. They were just standing. Ospreay at one point was snarling at Paige as they were looking in each other's eyes. Dramatic storytelling. I'm not saying that if any of this material was any good and that any of the talent could act, that they couldn't pull it off, but this ain't it, dog. What are your thoughts on whether this is it or not?
I don't think it's it. I think I've shared most of my thoughts. I think Ospreay is a really talented guy, but he seems to just want to be one of the guys. That's why he dresses like a schlub. And Adam Page, I'm just sick of Adam Page. Again, like I said, it's almost 6 years now. And I don't want to see this character evolve anymore. I want to see this character I'm sick of him. But we'll see what happens. I'm not really looking forward to the match as of this second.
Briefly, another one of our formerly favorite things has evolved. FTR have just switched heel. And in-ring wise, let's face it, still, although this is fainter praise than it used to be, they're the best in-ring wrestling working tag team in the company. But they in Stokely now, their manager out of nowhere, come in, they start pushing Tony around and they talk negative about him. Stokely called him a pale, decrepit, pasty piece of shit. And Tony stood up and bowed up at him until FTR, he shoved Tony down and then FTR blocked Tony off. I think Tony could have took him. But they had to cut a promo on Danny Garcia tomorrow on Collision. They've just turned heel and they have got nobody to work with. And they're reduced to having to work with Danny Garcia on Collision. So the heel turn didn't elevate them at all because it was done just so they could turn on their best friend who immediately went away. And when he comes back, there's one of him and two of them. So how did this set them up for a tag team program?
It could either be Edge and Danny Garcia.
Oh, Christ.
A lot of people think eventually we may get Edge and Christian, but Edge and Danny Garcia may be a thing. Daniel Garcia is just not it. They're wasting their time. I could say this now. It's been years. I think it's a waste of time.
Well, speaking of a waste of time, we had a world title eliminator 4-way match with Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa versus Anna Jay versus Penelope Pitstop. And the world title eliminator 4-way means that the winner of this gets a world title match, right? With one of the world champions they have. And
Toni Storm, isn't Toni Storm one of the world champions they have?
Well, I thought, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but it doesn't matter because I don't care. But at one point in this 4-way match, Megan Brain just came out to the ring because it was on fast forward. I saw her, I stopped. Came out to the ring, just got in the ring and started not only beating people up, but doing random wrestling spots in this match in front of the referee. And they didn't stop it because, as the announcer said, well, it's no DQ. Just random people not affiliated can come in and start doing actual spots. And then Harley Cameron came out and chased her off with a fake lead pipe. And the match continued and Toni Storm won. So once again, all these little details, does it really matter? And all this does is teach these guys and girls that this shit is normal and is somehow going to work and get over because the checks cash. So they think it's good. if you held them to a standard. How about what was the reason why Action Andretti and Leo Rush were just wandering around the arena in the crowd?
Well, they're a tag team. Obviously, they're checking out the competition.
But there was no competition wrestling, and they came out before any tag team had even emerged to begin with, and they're just wandering around, and then they didn't do anything. Did they? Did they do anything?
I don't think so, no.
Did you really ever see where they went?
Well, they probably found some seats.
So here comes the Hurt Syndicate after Andretti and Rush find their seats. And MVP introduces them and gets the big cheers and asks the question we've been asking. Where are all the best tag teams? Why aren't they stepping up? Has anybody around here got what it takes? And suddenly music plays, and I swear to God, Darius and Dante Martin came out with looks on their faces like, I don't know, fucking Ethel and Julius Rosenberg had before their fucking execution.
Jesus.
It was, they just automatically, I mean, the one started, hey, this is his actual material. We've been a little down on our luck lately. So we see this as an opportunity. That's the way the baby faces came out to confront the heel tag team champions. Was we've been down on our luck lately. We see this as an opportunity. We're underdogs. Nobody has any. This is their material. We're underdogs. Nobody has their money on us. But while the other guy was speaking, the one was looking scared shitless. And then they said, Detroit, we've proven we can hold our own. You want to see a miracle? And the fans were like, eh. No, they didn't want to see a miracle. Well, they might have wanted to see a miracle, but they didn't see any miracle workers. And so this is the level of competition that comes out. And then as they finish their promo, basically saying, look, we're nobody and we never win, and nobody thinks we're going to now. But what the fuck? It doesn't matter if you kill us. Just fight us. And then MJF comes out from behind and levels both these guys and gets a fuck cheered out of them. They're just fans. MJF. And he beat up both the baby faces, and one of them, if you can call it bleeding, I think he had a little blade-itis, did one of the Martins, and he got a pap smear. But these guys, by the way, will dive off the fucking roof, but they will not blade their fucking head a fucking half an inch. Give me that choice every day. If I've got to do one of the two, I'll remain on the ground with the sword in my hand. And so then MJF, after he's laid waste to these two goofuses, gets in the ring and gets up in Bobby Lashley's face and says, I hurt people. And the place blew. Yay! And the fans started chanting, we hurt people. And then Lashley's big response, where he was apparently, he did say, apparently, I'll give you your answer next week. His microphone was turned off for the first half of the goddamn thing. But anyway, so now next week we're going to get our resolution. And we've also seen that there ain't a lot of tag teams around there. And at least MJF is starting to use the coin of the realm that the Hurt Syndicate deal in. Brian, again, except for the fact that the Martin brothers just looked like cooked gooses when they wandered out there. What'd you think?
Yeah, when they wandered out there, and then one guy beat both of them up.
Well, but in all fairness, he came from behind.
That's right. Where was Leo and Action Andretti? That's what I'd like to know.
They found their seats.
What do you think will happen next week? Do you think it's as simple as they let MJF in? Do they keep it going? Do they say, Swerve, we're going to let Cedric in? Because Cedric's a free agent again. What do you think will happen?
Well, but I don't know. You never know what's their relationship with Cedric these days. How did he end up there, back there at the Evil Empire, while the other Hertz were free and clear to join this band of merry pranksters? What was that trajectory like? Did Cedric bail on the Hertz?
I don't know if it was whose decision was what, but I guess the point is, what do you think's going to happen?
Well, I think they better have a decision next week, or now it's going to get old because now he's done that. So we need to turn the page, enter the new chapter, whatever cliche that you would want to use. We need to see what's going to be next because there's really no way that you can put this off again after that presentation without people go, oh, come on now. But if he joins, then hopefully we will just be revving this thing up. But again, we got the problem. Who are they going to work with?
Well, there you go. That was going to be my next question. FTR just turned heel, and these guys are kind of heel, but it could go either way. But they just turned heel, and they're doing something else with other people. Moxley and Claudio, at least look-wise, it's not ridiculous in there. You know,
Moxley's the singles champion.
Right, exactly. You can't, but Yuta would make it ridiculous looking. Yuta being competitive with Shelton, let alone Bobby.
They crippled Pac the other week.
Pac's not there. Brian Cage, I think, is out again, injured.
Yeah.
So that tag team, him and Lance Archer, even though they already kind of ran through them, I think. They ran through the Guns already.
No, they were going to have that match, and then he got hurt before they had it.
Oh, that's what it was. Where are the Guns? Whatever happened to them?
Apparently they got unloaded.
The Bucks are not going to be working with the Hurt Syndicate, I can't imagine.
No, they won't be. And the Hurt Syndicate I don't know if anybody would be man enough to walk up to the Hurt Syndicate and pitch that preposterous idea.
Well, I guess the question now that I'm thinking about all these options and, even, do they need to be baby faces?
Well, theoretically, they already are, but they don't need to act like it because that will remove the appeal.
But who they work with, in terms of who they work with, actually, I'm thinking more than anything because I can think of lots of heel options. Not that they're good. And some of them we have to kind of put together, but there aren't any babyface options.
There ain't a lot of options. And that's, again, they can't fall in the trap of because the people are cheering for the Hurt Syndicate, make them baby faces, and suddenly MVP can't do anything when an opposing manager interferes, or, Shelton Benjamin's not going to launch a guy with a suplex because they're double teaming Lashley, but he hasn't got the tag and the referee's keeping him out. Then the problem with AEW is all of their baby faces have been presented as so impotent with tiny, tiny little penises that do not function. And they never win, and they always get taken advantage of, and they're suckers for a goddamn, not even a good storyline of bullshit. And the heels look cooler in contrast. When you had cool heels, Ric Flair, the Four Horsemen, but the goddamn baby faces were just as cool. Road Warriors, Magnum TA, whatever. That works. But not Undertaker and the Hart Foundation and Shawn Michaels, and when all those people were on opposite sides. That works. But not when they're fucking Spitball Bailey. Anyhow, you know what the problem is that the Hurt Syndicate are open for business, but they only deal in the currency of violence, Brian, and a lot of people are not able to reach into their pocket and pull out a good old-fashioned ass whipping. That's the problem right there. You need to have in your back pocket, ladies and gentlemen, at all times, if you're going to be in business, a good old-fashioned ass whipping. And right now, we can tell you how you can not only show people that you're open for business, but you can have a good old-fashioned ass whipping in your back pocket ready to pull it out because you're going to have a big brother supporting you by the name of Shopify. Because Shopify, and hold on here, just want to remind you about that. Shopify is the best converting checkout on the planet. Shopify has the iconic purple Shop Pay button that's used by millions of businesses around the world to take people's money and bring it in to be their very own. Shopify can spread your brand's word with built-in marketing and email tools to find and keep new customers. And Shopify, they give you that leg up from day one with hundreds of beautiful, ready-to-go templates to express your brand style. Forget about the code. They're going to help you through it. Inventory to payments to analytics. You know, it's important to have a leg up in business, Brian, and they're going to send somebody out. All you got to do is be on your front porch at 9 o'clock that following Monday morning, and the Shopify crew are going to come out. You stick your leg up, they're going to get underneath it, and they're going to boost you up to where you can see the top of the profits. And that money's going to start rolling in, and then you're going to use some of that money to get that guy out from between your legs and put you down on the ground where you can go spend it. But Shopify...
What?
That's you heard what I said. He'll put you down, long as you tip him.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's not talk about tips, except for the tip that we can give you one businessman to another. When we needed someone to power our online store, our shirts for the Drive-Thru, the Corny shirts, the Travis Heckel artwork shirts, ArcadiaVanguard.com, or look on the shop app, we turned to our friends at Shopify. Jim, that's the kind of tip we could tell the listeners. It's a tip about who they can work with.
We can put that tip right in there. Just the tip is enough.
Just a tip of business expertise.
It should be enough. Just a wink's as good as a nod to a blind man, but just this word should be good for you, folks, because Shopify is the commerce platform behind 10% of all the e-commerce in the United States. Even household names like Mattel, all the way down to little brands just getting started. So 10% of all e-commerce in the United States, that is just the tip in there, boy. But sooner or later, they're going to expand and intrude and protrude and be inserted all the way up to 100%. And boy, then things are going to explode over and over again. And you can be right there along with Shopify when they explode all over your customers and drench you in cash. So that leg up, that's just foreplay. Folks, if you want to see less carts being abandoned, it's time for you to head over to Shopify.com/JCE because you're going to be able to sign up for your $1 a month trial period. They will show you for only the low price of $1 a month. That's 4 quarters. That's 10 dimes. That's 100 pennies. I don't know how many S&H green stamps, but it doesn't matter. They're out of business. $1 a month trial period. They'll show you what they can do for your business and your potential retirement future. And they will take money from other people and they will give it to you. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Through the legal means of a sale. Commerce.
Well, I'm just shortening the process. There's a lot of details. That's why you need them and their $1 a month trial period.
Sounds like you're shortening the process right through Nottingham Forest. Let's talk about business.
Well, all you know is that they got money and they're giving it to you. You don't have to know where it came from or what means it was collected under. Your hands are clean. Shopify.com/JCE that will exchange wealth from one person to you in some manner that they'll tell you about off the air. But that person ain't going to have the money no more. It's going to be you.
Let's talk about treating your customers to a great experience.
$.com, $1 a month. That's just a trial period now, but you'll find out quickly enough you can't do without these people. Just like Vegas couldn't do without the mob, you can't do without Shopify.
Let's not make that comparison. Just like your business needs a helping hand to get the right online action.
Yes, the action.
Shopify.
You need a piece of the action.
Shopify will get you that piece.
Bugsy Siegel will be every step of the way supervising to make sure you get your own piece of the action.
That's all Hollywood. This has nothing to do with any of that, ladies and gentlemen. Shopify's there for you one more time. Jim, one more time. Just one Promo code. Promo code,
Just
please.
one time for Shopify.com/JCE for more of this and not the other thing. Well, next they had a little segment where the Buckaroos were in the back playing heel so O'Sleepy could say bitch and Ricochet could get in there and be all stoogey. And then the Buckaroos opened the door to go in their locker room, and there's the Boar Horseman sitting there in the dark lighting with the spookiness like it's the dungeon. So they're going to have some interaction. And then we go to the ring. The Ring of Honor World TV title, which is now owned by Nick Plain with Christian Cage and Mama and the whole group. They bring Rhino in to be Nick's opponent. Rhino is from Detroit. People remembered him. He was over with them. He was probably one of the more popular guys when the people saw him on the show because they remember him when wrestling was kind of good. And he was good. And now he looks more like Bam Bam Bigelow right now. He's gained a little weight, but he's retired, right? But the fans were into him. I don't think that anybody, including Rhino, wanted to go 15 minutes at 100 miles an hour with this kid, but what the fuck would they beat him in 2 minutes? And it was so preposterous. Literally, Rhino does a tackle, and then this dipshit just cut him off. He didn't heal him. He just stopped him, put a boot up, and drop kicked him off the turnbuckle. Didn't even poke him in the eye. And he gets 30 seconds of heat. And then Rhino makes a comeback. Kid takes 3 bumps. Rhino hits him with a spine buster. It looked like $1 million, got a 2 count, and went for the gore. And again, the kid avoided the gore and caught Rhino with the, what they call it now, the unprettier Christian's finish. But not in any cheating way. And it looked like shit. And you could tell that he didn't know how to do it. And boom, it was there, and he covered him 1, 2, 3. And the fans started chanting, bullshit, bullshit. They weren't chanting bullshit because the guy won. They were chanting bullshit because of how it happened and in the time it happened in.
What? Well, and the company's whole thing is pushing the quality of the matches, and then you do something like this where the fans are actually excited to see a match and you take it away quickly. What do you expect?
Exactly. And it is I'm always up for seeing Rhino. But if he wasn't up for, in shape for whatever, for 6 or 7 minutes, and the kid be a heel so that it meant something, then just don't do it.
Hey, what do you think of this Christian Nick Wayne thing? Is it worth it for it to play out? Are you into it at all, or do you just want it all to go away?
Well, I think at this point it all needs to go away because the whole thing is, if this is going to be some way that they can eventually, as you're predicting, get Christian and Edge back together, it's an awful odd way to go about it.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if this is that. I think eventually.
Well, they ought to get moving. It's not like anybody wants to wait 6 months to see the resolution of any of this shit.
Because the other option is that I'm all for elevating people, and Edge certainly should elevate people, but not Daniel Garcia. So if it's like Edge and Daniel Garcia versus FTR, I'd rather him just team with Christian, and let's get some memorable tag matches.
Well, but also here's the thing, Christian, instead of spending this much time on, as I mentioned on last week's show, Nick Wayne, sure, he's a wonderful young man. They signed him before he was ready. He looks like any other indie guy. He's 19 or 20 years old. He needs to be bigger. He needs more experience. He needs somebody to tell him how to fucking be a heel if he's going to be one. And he's on national TV. If they had to put Christian with Hobbs and give him this concerted long-term oomph behind him. Or, again, where's Wardlow?
Where's Wardlow? On top of the mountain.
Is he? He's on top of the mountain waiting for Darby. They're going to pull the trigger on that. It's going to be the biggest angle in the history of wrestling. But the point is, if they pick the proper talent to put veterans with to try to bring them up, it might work. But the Danny Garcias and the Wheeler Uselesses and the Nick Plains of the world are not them. And then it just gets in the way. And then they shortchange the people there. And then the next match, they think, well, this will make up for it. Where again, you have to sit through Ricochet and Maddie and Nikki, the Buckaroos, going 20 minutes or whatever the fuck it is with poor Mark Briscoe, Hong Kong Phooey, and Swerve Strickland. Swerve, one of their main event guys, is teaming up with poor Mark Briscoe, who just won a match last week after 3 years, and Ricky Steamboat's little daughter. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. It looks visually ridiculous. And then when the Buckaroos come in, the people are said they don't give a shit because they don't want to see those two little ass wipes. So
they can't get any reaction unless they overwhelm people with spots. So that by the time you're done reacting to the first thing, the next thing has happened, and that keeps happening. And then you're exhausted. And then you clap.
And then it makes no difference when more people do it because you've already seen it.
And then one person after another runs into the center of the ring and does their spot, and then the other person lays down. I mean, we've seen everything they do.
Yeah.
The crowd doesn't give a shit about them.
No, if you want a review of the match, listen to one that we did from 5 years ago because it's the same thing, but now with more phooey. And again, what is the audience for Douche Bailey? Is it effeminate midget fans of Kung Fu movies? Who is the target audience for that grinning nitwit?
I want to see him go in there with the Hurt Syndicate.
Oh.
Everyone's like, he's a black belt. Okay, put him in there with Lashley.
He'll be a black and blue belt. And then finally they ended it. One of the Buckaroos pinned Swerve with a small package. They beat Swerve.
It was Matt Buckaroo, I believe.
Well, there you go. And in the back, before we go any further with the ring action, they had MJF and Ospreay do a face-to-face that went way too long with just the two of them, where the announcer just fucking powders out as soon as there's any goddamn interplay between the talent. And MJF's story is he wants Ospreay to win the Owen and go to All In and win the title so then he can fight Ospreay and it'll be easy to win his belt back. And Ospreay's mumbling back at MJF and MJF's insulting Ospreay. And nobody's on the level of the devil. And Ospreay says, I am. Because, he's he looks like Ospreay could double for the head of a Hell's Angels chapter. The fuck. And Renee Moxley Good had a sit down with Jamie Hayter. It might have been Velma from Scooby-Doo. I'm not sure which.
That 70s girl.
Yeah, I wonder if Mike Awesome's busy.
She looked like a single mom in 1975 going to a hearing on custody. Like what?
She had an audition for the Austin Powers sequel.
What is happening with Jamie Hayter?
She was cutting a promo on Mercedes Moon, and Mercedes jumped in the room and attacked her, and Jamie chased her out of the room, and they fought into the arena, where they had a horrible fight where they couldn't even time a 1-2. And in the entranceway, they did a duck the clothesline spot where Mercedes ducked the clothesline and ran off. And Jamie Hayter, when Mercedes ducked her clothesline and ran off, Jamie Hayter never turned around to see where Mercedes ran or to see if she had just stopped, for that matter. She just looked at the camera and was mugging like, see, she runs off every time. Because that was the way they called it in the locker room, so she didn't have to look, she knew. And then while she's saying that, well, she just runs off every time Mercedes ran back out and fucking knocked the shit out of her from behind. and put her in the STF. So you got another baby face that's such a fucking idiot that they can't goddamn look behind them to see if the person is that they're fighting is still there. And now think about this. Jamie Hayter got outsmarted by, as we've recently found out, a woman who regularly gets stranded of her own volition in the fucking woods.
Oh, that was in Monet Mag, from what I understand.
Yes. Yes.
We may need to revisit that on the drive-thru, Monet Mag.
I'm sure I'm sure stories of her getting lost in major cities and small town locales and countryside.
How many of the stories will be an assistant? Her and an assistant.
Well, one of the team. Member of the team. So anyway, moving on. I'm just going to get. There's only two more things here.
This may be the briefest or the quickest we've ever.
Well, because it's gotten ridiculous, and I'm going to make a point here shortly. Stay tuned for it on what we need to do to see if there's any hope for this company. But nevertheless, they had a big match. Remember, they brought Kevin Knight in just a couple weeks ago, and as we mentioned, he got a look to him, and he seems athletic, and he's taller than, the sign to ride the ride at Six Flags.
He looks like he would fit in NXT. He's been really good.
And so they've been beating the shit out of him. Just beating him every time you see him.
Never seen him win.
And now they put him in a single match. And by the way, Randy Orton did an interview talking about picking Joe Hendry for his WrestleMania opponent. And he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is pretty close to it, they had a number of options, but they didn't want to debut Rusev or another guy that he mentioned in a match with him because he had to win since he was going on to face Cena. And you wouldn't, under any circumstances, want to bring a guy in that you have plans for and beat him his first time on television. Randy just said the most plain, basic, simple fact of a goddamn wrestling business, and it's a revelation to these numbnutses over here. So Kevin Knight wrestled O'Sleepy. And I guarantee you that somebody told poor Kevin Knight, and he probably believes that, because it'll be a great match against this legendary Japanese wrestler, you'll look better because of it. But the way they gave him an out was remember Rush, Brian?
Rush.
Yes, rev it up and get it started. He's back. And he's got a problem with Kevin Knight because of some other goddamn thing that they did or are doing. So O'Sleepy goes to the ring, and then Kevin Knight is introduced, and as he's coming down not even a ramp, just the entranceway out from the fucking screen, Rush attacked him and beat the shit out of him. Bounced him off the railing and the ring steps and blah, 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 and out came Spitball to save him. And Rush just fucking blew this little prick off, as he should, but as he does all the other baby faces, just scoffed at the idea he should run. And after that, Rush has beaten the shit out of Kevin Knight. Then Kevin Knight rolled into the ring, and Aubrey Ed rang the bell to start the match. Okay, so I guess they're going to give him the out of, now that he's been beaten up by Rush, then O'Sleepy's going to beat him in a minute or two, and golly. No. They started off having a goddamn match. Now, O'Sleepy was in charge. He was slowly doing as few things as possible while the fans nodded off, but they went through a break. And when they came back, Kevin Knight was making a comeback. I wrote down, what the fuck was Rush for? Have these idiots ever even watched wrestling? This match went 10 minutes after that the guy had come out and kicked the shit out of Kevin Knight. So any residual damage that he had from that attack has been nullified and negated by him now making a comeback on and being competitive with goddamn O'Sleepy. who then beat him with that shitty clothesline. But not before we saw that Kevin Knight was fine doing all of his shit. The angle before the match meant jack shit, and now he just did a goddamn flat job in the middle of the ring. What is the matter with these people?
These people being what? Tony Khan?
Any of these people.
Tony Khan.
These cumulative people. Tony Khan, the wrestlers that are going along with this, some of them that are pitching ideas for this, because Tony can't write all this shit by himself. He just wouldn't have time. He's getting input. And he's getting the input right up the old poop chute. And then Samoa Joe and Claudio was in the main event. Again, I mean, it seems like we've seen this a lot, even if we haven't, because it's the goddamn Boar Horseman and poor Samoa Joe again. Who's going to get his chance at the world title next week on free TV in a cage match, which means, I believe it's cage, I think. But that means he ain't going to win it. And they got a stadium show coming up. Nobody's ready to take the thing off of Moxley because nobody understands what the fuck his issue is. And they went past 10 o'clock and Joe choked Claudio and he tapped out. And then when the Boar Horseman and Dick the Boozer came out, Hobbs came in with a chair and they just beat Claudio up with the chair while the rest of them just watched. And that was the end of that.
Well, go ahead, please.
I'm just saying it's more of the same shit that got them in this position to begin with, and now they just can't stop doing it. That's it.
There's no brain trust. There's no one there who can execute and think right about these things and write the TV. So, when there isn't a backbone at the end, because Tony Khan thinks he knows everything about wrestling. He doesn't understand, as you've pointed out many, many times, what to do, when to do it, how to do it, why to do it.
With who to do it.
But he's seen it, so he does it. And then no one gets any further than they've been, and everyone feels like they're just floating in water. Another AEW Dynamite. I'm getting sick of this show, I have to say.
Well, and that's the thing is that there are no money matches. And because he picks, even if he wants to redo stuff that he's seen done in the past, he picks the wrong people to do it. In hindsight, what if, a completely different actor played Rocky or whatever? Some things just work with a particular person. He can't pick talent, and he can't pick the talent to listen to, because he's indie-minded, so he naturally gravitates to the kids that want to play wrestling instead of the guys that want to be major stars. And so there's no money matches. You can't say for the World Tag Team title, I'd love to see this fucking goddamn angle come to a big conclusion, because there ain't none. Say the world title, we haven't even seen the belt because of this lunatic fucking Moxley's goddamn fantasies that he's got about this underground tough guy club that he's president of. And the roster, there's some talent there, not as much as there used to be, but it's hidden by all the indie shit to where that it's just diluted. It's watered down. Should we go up and down? We did this a few years ago when there actually was still some element of hope. It was before the WWE took off, Vince took off, and the WWE pulled ahead. Should we go up and down the roster and see if there's 30 guys that we could keep in AEW that would make the backbone of a promotion if they were used right?
It's been a long time. It's been probably 4 years or so since we've done that. If we're going to do it for one, we have to do it for the other, I think.
Well, I think we ought to do it for these people first, because they may need help.
It's interesting. As you're saying this, I'm just thinking about, like, tag team division. You got a star tag team with Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin with MVP. They've got no division to work with. Women's division. I think Megan Bain has shot out of a cannon as a star. She hasn't done very much, but just aura, presence, and size alone, she looks like a star. In AEW, that's a big deal. When someone actually looks like a star, you got to run with that.
Yes.
The division.
But now here's one thing. Does she have the personality or the experience on the microphone and the ability to fucking take it and run with it? Or is she one of these top attractions that needs a smaller, less cosmetically marketable, but more savvy veteran? Like, should a Bailey be alongside her? I'm not, whatever.
What she needs is someone to be in charge of a division that's actually going to be run well.
Well, that would be another thing also.
Kevin Knight, they signed him, and I said it right away. He's really athletic. He got a great jump. Looks good. Fans are into him. Seems that he could do what everyone else is doing. And he looks a little bit more like a star, so they've beaten him every single week. And that's
and they spent a lot less money on him than they spent on Mercedes and on Osprey and on O'Sleepy.
They paid Mercedes Moné so much money, she has a team. She has an assistant assisting her with what? For how much a year? I mean, that's just stupid money for someone who doesn't generate it.
I think honestly, I think some of these positions are and the importance of said positions are being exaggerated somewhat for the effect that she wants to give, which is that she's still trying to make people believe she's a star. She believes it. So my team could be this girl that I went to high school with that hangs out with me because she gets to travel with me.
Yeah, hi, it's very nice to meet you. I'm the publisher of Monet Mag. Perhaps you've heard of it. We're on newsstands nowhere.
My name is Ethel Guccione.
Well, I think it's a good idea to review the roster because there's probably names we're not thinking of. I'm okay with Darby. I'm not saying everyone has to be a big guy, but when every single person is just small and doesn't feel like a star, and the people that are wrestler size disappear for years at a time, seemingly, something needs to be evaluated. And again, we'll do WWE if we're going to do AEW down the road.
Well, speaking of evaluating things, what are they evaluating over at the Arcadian Vanguard Network this week?
Oh, another big week of shows. I wasn't prepared. Another big week of shows on the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network, and information about all the shows on Twitter at Superpodcast, or on Facebook at facebook.com/Arcadian Vanguard. Of course, every day the wrestling news is there for you. Get all the news without opinion, without conjecture, without paywall. None of that shit.
None of it.
Just get the straight ahead wrestling news. If you wake up in the morning and you say, what did I not watch last night? Find out from the wrestling news, directly from thewrestlingnews.com, wherever you find your favorite podcast. Of course, want to make mention of Stick to Wrestling with John McAdam, a look at May 1985 in the WWF 40 years ago. Hear about that crazy time. Post-WrestleMania, McAdamPod.com, or look for Stick to Wrestling with John McAdam wherever you find your favorite podcast. And of course, the 605 Super Podcast, The Mothership! Hey, your sound didn't cut out there, unfortunately. Go through the archive, 605pod.com. There will be post-court shows once we have a little more time.
I am finding sound effects that your noise filter, I think you got this new noise filter just so I couldn't shout you down with my longer effects. All right, speaking of shouting down,
you figured me out.
See, no denial there. Before we fucking figure the rest of this out and get out of here, did anybody watch this television program that we just discussed this past week?
That is a very interesting question. Before I answer that, Jim, let me just tell you, according to WrestleTix, AEW Dynamite, Wednesday, May 7, 2025, the Masonic Temple Theater, Detroit, Michigan. Tickets distributed 2,954.
Ooh. Well, I mean, it was respectable in the theater, but it is off-putting now. We said they should run smaller buildings, but I guess there are no smaller arenas in most places. In a theater setting, it's disconcerting to see that big video screen just right behind the ring on the left-hand side, and no seats,
Yeah.
no distance, no ramp, no nothing. You're just there. They come out of the wall.
I thought about that during the women's match. I think when Anna Jay hit the ring and, turned the pose to the camera, I'm thinking, the fans just watched her walk out there. She acknowledged them, and then she turns away from them to pose for the camera where there are no fans. It's bizarre. It's bizarre when you're not just in a big empty arena, when it's literally a theater where there's just cameras on one side. With that being said, I thought it looked cool. I actually liked the look, especially the backstage stuff. When all of a sudden you're doing your promos in like a classy
the wood
stairwell.
paneling.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wood paneling looked nice. And no, the theater, it looked like the Hammerstein Ballroom look with the box seats and the various. So that looks nice. It's an old-fashioned theater. It's disconcerting a little bit to see that giant video wall right next to the ring.
Just for the record, the last time they were in Detroit, according to WrestleTix here, the Little Caesars Arena for Dynamite, May 2023, 8,173.
Ooh, well,
but
they didn't make it this time.
Obviously, that just means more people at home. Let's get to the ratings here. Jim, AEW Dynamite on TBS, Wednesday, May 7th, 8 to 10:05 p.m. On average, watched by 629,000 viewers.
Is that not what it was last week? Why that number?
It is. Last week was 629. It's exactly what it was last week.
At this point, how is that? I guess coincidences happen.
It says here, confirmed by WrestleNomics, the total viewership and key demo rating are the same as last week. And then in caps, this is not an error. Because that would be anyone's first thought.
Well, we said that they are down to the people that pretty much going to watch this no matter what they do. And that maybe that's it right now.
Well, let's get to these ratings. And again, these were compiled by WrestleNomics, AEW Dynamite on TBS, May 7th, 2025. Quarter 1, 8 to 8:15 p.m. The Adam Page, Will Ospreay, and Don Callis live promo confrontation, 714,000 viewers.
Okay, I'm going to say that is a little bit below possibly where they started last week, just off the top of my head.
It's in the range. I don't know exactly what it was last week. But we go to quarter 2, 8:15 to 8:30 p.m. The Stokely Hathaway FTR live promo, the Anna Jay Harley Cameron backstage promo. I like both those women. That was ridiculous, that promo.
Oh, I did that. I didn't even mention it because all I was going to say was is the fakest, silliest, stupidest bunch of shit I've ever seen.
And the start of Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa versus Penelope Ford versus Anna Jay with picture-in-picture, 719,000 viewers.
Good Lord. So apparently the amalgamation of Tits Incorporated got the sexually frustrated AEW audience to 5,000 more of them to join the jump on the party, on the bandwagon. That's unusual. When's the last time they picked up in their second quarter?
I don't know. Last week, I think they were pretty respectable in the second quarter, but I don't remember if it was up.
I don't think it was.
Well, quarter
but maybe
3,
something else was up. That's why.
Quarter 3, be professional. Quarter 3, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m.
Wait, you want me to charge for it? That's illegal.
The continuation of the 4-way match, the post-match, an ad break, and the Hurt Syndicate's confrontation with Top Flight and MJF's live angle, 677,000 viewers.
Again, very respectable, only 42,000 down, the Hurts and MJF in that segment. So what I'm seeing now is the last part of this show is going to suck donkey balls, but go ahead.
We go now to quarter 4, 8:45 to 9 p.m. The Elite and Ricochet backstage.
That's what's going to start it.
An ad break. Nick Wayne versus Rhino. The post-match with the Patriarchy. Rush's backstage promo in a very nice staircase, and he was wearing a sweater. The whole thing was very classy. 662,000 viewers.
Okay, so the second hour of the program is going to fall in a fucking hole that reaches all the way to the core of the earth. They are still not down. This is the most consistent first hour in the history of the show. And they're still not down to what their average was. So what the fuck happens?
We go now to the big 9 o'clock hour, Jim, quarter 5, 9 to 9:15 p.m. The start of Mark Briscoe, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Swerve Strickland versus Ricochet and the Young Bucks with picture-in-picture, 631,000 viewers.
Okay, it begins. They lost 31,000 at the top of the hour with their EVPs and some of their alleged major stars, but it's only 30,000. It's this show. Nothing to worry about yet.
Right, you forgot about Buck Syndrome. Let's go now to quarter 6, 9:15 and 9:30 p.m. The continuation of the 6-man tag team match. MJF and Will Ospreay backstage. An ad break. Jamie Hayter's 1976 backstage interview. Mercedes Moné and Hayter's ramp angle. Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander's backstage angle. 550,000 viewers.
Ouch. Okay.
There's the
cliff. Buck effect is 81,000 people and 112,000 in the 30 minutes since they had appeared on the screen for the first time. Yeah, they're starting to leave in droves.
Well, we go now to quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. La Facción Ignobarale, or whatever that is, and Kevin Knight's live angle. Live angle? What angle was that? Was it more than Roosh? Was there another person?
Remember when they talk to each other, that's an angle.
Oh, I must have missed whoever.
I think they're talking about the Rush thing there. There was another Yahoo wandering around.
Oh, see, I missed that. Yeah. And then Okada versus Kevin Knight with picture-in-picture.
Oh, my God. The champion of putting people to sleep.
The post-match with Speedball Mike Bailey.
Oh, my God. The champion of running people off.
And a Don Callis backstage promo.
Oh, my God. The champion of please don't do this anymore.
555,000 viewers.
They got 5,000 back. What a combination. People had to think, what the fuck? This will never happen again. All this rotten television all at the same time.
We go now.
I'm not holding out a lot of hope for quarter 8, by the way.
We're going now to quarter 8. We have a 5-minute overrun. 9:45 to 10 p.m., quarter 8. An ad break. The Hurt Syndicate's backstage promo. And the start of Claudio versus Samoa Joe with picture-in-picture. 540,000 viewers. 5-minute overrun. Continuation of the match and the post-match with Powerhouse Hobbs and Moxley. 583.
Okay, now, again, the 43,000 for the 5 minutes, they're getting credit for Modern Family's time there. That doesn't make any sense that people would tune in. So just to see the climax of this thing. So actually, it wasn't bad as I thought. I thought to make the average, they'd have to get down to around the 500 mark, but they only lost 174,000 from the start of the program to the finish of regulation. I guess that ain't bad. It's the same people now. It's the same people, and even they get tired when you get to where there's 30 or 45 minutes left in this show, and they know they've seen everybody that they give a shit about. You know, it's time to beat the traffic in their living room.
Yeah, I'll admit it. I went to bed early. I missed the main event.
Well, but so did... Well, there's thousands of people, depending on where you want to start from. But we're going to do that next week. We will look through the roster. Do they still advertise the people that work for this company?
They have something on their official website.
Has anybody taken out a complaint? Don't tell people I work for you.
They have something on their website, and we'll see if there's any other official source that can list the entirety of the roster.
Well, in that case, then we will go through the entirety of that.